This evening, as we chant together, we'd like to open our hearts, especially to the flow of the music, to the flow of the melody, the flow of the vibration of each chant. And as we do in virtually every kirtan, at the end of the chant there will be a little pause, there will be a little moment. Can be a few seconds, can be even a minute or two, depending on the chant before. But this is a chance for us to assimilate the energy of the chant. You can think of the chant as almost a kind of meal, almost a kind of like a course in a fine dinner. And in between there will be a little moment. And we want to just take that moment, take that pause to feel inside. What did this chant do? How did it rearrange my consciousness and uplift my heart's energy? The energy of our hearts should be moving upward in order for us to experience deeper states of consciousness and enlightenment. And so, as we chant this evening, try to offer the heart's energy upward like a vigorous fire of devotion into the divine light, and take the little moments that come in between. We'll probably have one meditation that'll go for 5 minutes or so, which in the course of a kirtan seems like a long time to have silence, but in fact it's quite short. And so just take that opportunity, whether it's long or short in the kirtan this evening, to really dive deeper in the vibration of the chants. They're very powerful, they're very subtle, they're very memorable. Yogananda really gave us, and Swami Kriyananda will sing chants of both, and a few traditional Sanskrit ones. But all of these chants have an energy about them that can transport and uplift our consciousness. So let's use them this evening in that way, as a chance to really uplift our spirit. This first chant that we'll do is Sri Guru Deva Om, written by Swami Kriyananda. Sri Guru Deva Om, Sri Guru Deva Om, Sri Guru Deva Deva I'll sing a chant of the Divine Mother now. This is Blue Lotus Feet. Engrossed is the bee of my mind on the blue lotus feet of my Divine Mother. Divine Mother, my Divine Mother.
Divine Mother,
This next chant is, Lord, I am thine. I'll take this and do a short meditation afterwards.
I am thine, I am thine, I am thine. Lord, I am thine, I am thine. Lord, I am thine, I am thine, I am thine. Lord, I am thine, I am thine. Be thou mine, oh, be thou mine. Be thou mine, oh, be thou mine. I am thine, I am thine. Be thou mine, oh, be thou mine.
This next chant will be no birth, no death. This is a chant that Yogananda sang on the occasion when he took his vows to become a Swami. And we'll sing all 4 verses, which the 2 are normally sung and 2 are less common, but this is a very deep chant, and back there. This chant is no birth, no death, no caste have I, father, mother have I none. I am He, I am He. Blessed Spirit, I am He. And it goes on, mind nor intellect nor ego feeling, sky nor earth nor metals am I am He, I am He. I am Spirit, I am He. Blessed Spirit, I am He. Beyond all fancy, formless am I, free from dreams of all earthly life. Bondage I fear not, I'm free in thy joy, free, oh free, Lord, free in thy bliss. Feel as we sing this chant that we are beyond body, beyond personality, beyond all the circumstances and dramas of our lives, of this world, free in this moment itself. No birth, no death, nor caste have I. No birth, no death, nor caste have I. Father, mother, have I none. Father, mother, have I none. I am He, I am He. Blessed Spirit, I am He. I am He, I am He. Blessed Spirit, I am He. Mind nor intellect nor
Bondage I fear not, I'm free in thy joy. Bondage I fear not, I'm free in thy joy. Free, oh free, Lord, free in thy bliss. Free, oh free, Lord, free in thy bliss. I am he, blessed Spirit, I am he, oh I am he, blessed Spirit, I am he, I am he, blessed Spirit, I am he, I am he, blessed Spirit, I am he. No birth, no death, nor cast have I, no birth, no death, nor cast have I. Father, mother, have I none. Father, mother, have I none. I am he, blessed Spirit, I am he, I am he, blessed Spirit, I am he, oh I am he, blessed Spirit, I am he, I am he, blessed Spirit, I am he, I am he, blessed Spirit, I am he, oh I am he, blessed Spirit, I am he, I am he, blessed Spirit, I am he, I am he, blessed Spirit, I am he.
We'll sing one more chant and then have some stories. This chant is Om Namo Narayana. This is invoking the Lord as Narayan, who is an aspect of God as preserver of the universe, God as preserver of our lives.
Om Namo Narayana, 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 Om Namo Om Namo Namo Narayana, Om Namo Narayana, Om Namo Narayana, Om Namo Narayana, Om Namo
This is a story that I just ran across recently. You may have heard this before, but it was new to me and I thought I would share it. See if you like it too. It's about the mystery of Avatara, really. It's the descent of God into human form. And I found it very inspiring. I hope you like it too. The man to whom I'm going to introduce you was not a Scrooge. He was a kind, decent, mostly very good man, generous to his family, upright in his dealings with other men. But he just didn't believe all that incarnation stuff which the churches proclaim at Christmas time. It just didn't make sense, and he was too honest to pretend otherwise. He just couldn't swallow that story about God coming to earth. Sorry, I'm going to take a cough drop. About God coming to earth as a man. I'm sorry to distress you, he told his wife, but I'm not going with you to church this Christmas Eve. He said he'd feel like a hypocrite, that he'd much rather just stay at home, but that he would wait up for them. And so he stayed, and they went to the midnight service. Shortly after the family drove away in the car, snow began to fall. He went to the window to watch the flurries getting heavier and heavier, and then went back to his fireside chair and began to read his newspaper. Minutes later, he was startled by a thudding sound. Then another and another. Sort of a thump or a thud. At first he thought someone must be throwing snowballs against his living room wall. But when he went to the front door to investigate, he found a flock of birds huddled miserably in the snow. They'd been caught in the storm, and in a desperate attempt to find shelter, they had tried to fly through his large landscape window. Well, he couldn't let the poor creatures lie there and freeze, so he remembered the barn where his children stabled their pony. That would provide a warm shelter if he could direct the birds to fly in there. Quickly he put on a coat, galoshes, tramped through the deepening snow to the barn. He opened the doors wide and turned on the light, but the birds didn't come in. He figured food would entice them, so he hurried back to the house, fetched some breadcrumbs, sprinkled them on the snow, making a trail to the yellow-lighted, wide-open doorway of the stable. But to his dismay, the birds ignored the breadcrumbs and continued to flap around helplessly in the snow. He tried catching them. He tried shooing them into the barn by walking around them, waving his arms. Instead, they scattered in every direction except into the warm, lighted barn. And then he realized that they were afraid of him. To them, he reasoned, I must seem like a strange and terrifying creature. If only I could think of some way to let them know that they can trust me, that I'm not trying to hurt them, I'm trying to help them. But how? Because any move he made tended to frighten them, confuse them. They just would not follow him. They would not be led or shooed because they feared him. If only I could be a bird, he thought to himself, and mingle with them and speak their language. Then I could tell them not to be afraid. Then I could show them the way to be safe, to be warm, to fly into the warm, safe barn. But I would have to be one of them so that they could see and hear and understand. At that moment, the church bells began to ring. The sound reached his ears above the sounds of the wind, and he stood there listening to the bells pealing the glad tidings of Christmas, of God being born on earth. And he sank to his knees in the snow. No.
Okay. Then
You can do one now.
Okay, I'll do one now, but you have to go to the camera because it's on you.
Okay.
So here's the thingy. So I'm going to tell a story from Autobiography of a Yogi, and if you haven't read it, you jolly well should. And because it's a story that's in the book, I'm going to tell it, and so that part will be familiar to you, but then I'm going to continue on, so I'm not just retelling a story that many of you have probably read, even though it's a very compelling story. The story is Two Penniless Boys in Vrindavan, and it's chapter 11 from the Autobiography of a Yogi, and it is one of the most amazing stories that I have ever heard in my life, and it touched me very deeply personally, and also Swami Kriyananda, who, got choked up reading it when he read the Autobiography of a Yogi to record it as an audiobook. So the story is that Yogananda has found his guru, Sri Yukteswar, and he's traveling there, but he's traveling there by a sort of circuitous route. He's visiting his brother in Agra, and he and his friend Jitendra are going to visit the Taj Mahal, and they're going to see the sights, and essentially they're just on a visit at this point. There's no particular agenda other than to just enjoy themselves there. And Yogananda has a sort of fraught relationship with his elder brother Ananta. Ananta, being the eldest brother in an Indian family, is a little bit of a martinet, a little bit of a sergeant figure, a disciplinarian. And he has had it as his mission in life to get Yogananda to embrace the family life, to take on a role in the family, to have a job, to have his own family, to get married, children, etc., etc. And Yogananda wants none of that. And so there's been this natural dynamic tension between them. And Yogananda has had a strong spiritual impulse, which his elder brother has resisted in his own life. He's not very interested in that. So that kind of sets the stage for the story. And Ananta has a certain look on his face one night, and Yogananda thinks there's something going on. He's got a little smirk on his face, like he's up to something. And sure enough, in the morning, Ananta hatches his plot and puts it to Yogananda. And he basically challenges Yogananda, saying, "You have lived a protected life. I am going to put you to the test. You and your, quote, spirituality. We're going to see who's right. And basically, my challenge to you is this. I am going to challenge you to travel to Brindaban. I'm going to get you one-way tickets on the train to Brindaban, which is a half hour away or so. And I want you to have a day of seeing the sights in Brindaban, which Yogananda would have wanted to do. Brindaban is the place where Krishna grew up, and there's all sorts of Krishna temples and lots of devotional energy there. So it's a place that Yogananda would naturally want to go. And so have your day of sightseeing, have all your meals, but you're not allowed to take any money with you, not a single rupee, not a nickel, not a dime, nothing. Just the clothes on your back and yourselves, and you get to Brindaban, and we will see if God will support you. And Yogananda said, I accept the challenge. And Jitendra was like, he was not at all so sure. He was hoping to take a rupee or two so that he could telegram Ananta if it all came apart, etc. And Yogananda said, no, I won't go. I accept the challenge as given. We're going to do this. God is not confined to a speculative world. He lives, he breathes, he's part of our nature, etc. So anyway, they go to Brindaban on the train. And on the train they meet or are met by a couple of other men who share their train compartment. And the men strike up a conversation and say, you look like you're running away. And Yogananda said, no, you're mistaken. And then he says, I think you've been caught by Hari, the stealer of hearts, which is another name for Krishna. And the man says, I'm of a devotional temperament myself, and, we're going to see to it that you are taken care of here. And Yogananda says, no, you're mistaken. The other condition of the test is that Yogananda is not allowed to say anything to anyone. He's not allowed to let on that he's in this weird predicament of being in Brindaban with no money and no capacity to do anything. And so, Yogananda's sort of pushing them away. Well, as they get off the train, the men link arms with the boys, get them in a carriage, and bring them to a beautiful ashram home and drop them off there and tell the woman who greets them there, a very motherly figure, that the princes who were supposed to come were detained, were not able to make it, and these young men who they think are smitten by Krishna should should enjoy the feast that has been prepared for the princes. So they go in and they have this amazing, elaborate meal. Yogananda describes it as a sumptuous repast, 30 courses or something. I mean, it's just this unbelievable thing. Meanwhile, Jitendra is sort of astonished and amazed, but then the meal finishes and they very graciously are thankful to the hostess, and they go outside into the overpowering heat, and Jitendra once again is sort of doubtful of this whole thing. And Yogananda says, just be patient, just have a little faith, essentially. And along comes a young man who has had a vision of Yogananda and sees Yogananda as his guru and asks for the honor of taking them around to the shrines of Krishna and showing them everything, feeding them, buying them train tickets back to Agra. I mean, it's this whole drama that plays out. And Yogananda ends up giving this young man Kriya initiation on the train platform, which is one of these iconic images of, this amazing, because normally it takes a year or more to prepare for Kriya initiation. Anyway, special circumstances obviously ensued. And this story, and then, so part of the condition of the challenge is that Yogananda has to make it back to Agra with Jitendra, not having, revealed anything about the situation, and get back by midnight of the same night. And if he does so, Ananta will take initiation from Yogananda himself in Kriya Yoga as his disciple, which is impossibly irregular in the Indian scheme of things, that the eldest brother would take discipleship from a younger brother. I mean, it just would be very, very unusual. So anyway, they do make it back by midnight. Yogananda has a pile of rupee notes that he drops on the table because this young man has wanted to give them a donation in honor of the initiation that he received, etc. And Ananta is astonished, and he demands that Jitendra tell him the story. Have they been robbing a bank? What have they done? And the story unfolds, and Ananta says to him, I see that the law of supply and demand extends into far subtler realms than I had ever supposed. And he got very serious, and he took his initiation that same night. He honored his promise that he would do so. And he obviously, was very deeply moved by this experience. Now, the segue to this is that I wanted to understand. This story moved me very deeply because it's a story of faith and the exercise of that faith in this world in very real terms. And so I remember asking Swami Kriyananda, because we were spending a lot of time together, we lived together at that point in India. I remember asking him, sort of in reference to this story, about an incident in his own life. And the incident was, he had years before, when his publishing house was in very difficult financial shape, all of Ananda was challenged financially, he had decided to write a book called Do It Now. And he wrote the book, and he decided he wanted to print 5,000 copies, which is a good number in the publishing world. It's a good number to achieve, to get a good cost, good cost per unit. It's a very efficient, effective number. He decided to print 5,000 extra. So he had printed 5,000 sort of for sale in the typical book arena, the bookstores of the world, distributors network and so forth. But he wanted 5,000 for himself to give away. That was his response to the financial difficulties that he was facing. So I asked him years later, this is now, I don't know, 8 or 10 years later, and we're in India. So I asked him about that incident, and I said, okay, so Swamiji, suppose the law of supply and demand extends into far subtler realms, using this principle from the other story, the two penniless boys in Vrindavan. Supposing you had printed 10,000 copies or 50,000 copies, would it still apply? At what point does it no longer work? And Swami sort of chuckled, and he said, well, you have to work within the means that you have. He said, I wouldn't have been able to give away 50,000 books. It would have been wildly out of scale with, he wasn't going to go on a nationwide tour for a year handing out hundreds and hundreds of copies at every single one of those events. He only had a few venues to go to. As it happened, one of the talks that he gave was in the Chicago area, and my mom went to it, and she was amazed to have gotten one of those books at the end. He gave away the book that he was launching. She couldn't believe it. It obviously made a very big impression on her and presumably to the whole audience. But what he was doing was he was putting out an energy, and he knew that somehow that energy would be supported in return. And so we all, a group of us, moved to India in 2003 and landed up there with the money in our checking accounts, which in some cases was virtually none. People had fronted the money to get themselves present there in India and barely had any money to live on at all. We launched the work of Ananda India, and I remember thinking at one point, as we were a few months into this adventure over there, and Indians have a number of amazing qualities, devotional nature and so forth being high among them, but there is a certain caution when it comes to spiritual organization, because spiritual organization, as any kind of organization, can be fraught with corruption or challenges in different ways. And so they were cautious. They would donate to us, but they would donate a bag of rice. They wouldn't necessarily donate a whole bunch of rupees, which were what we needed in order to pay the rent, in order to, pay the costs of promoting the programs we were doing, etc. So I remember at one point thinking, in fact, just a quick aside, we were told at one point, we were starting to teach meditation classes and other spiritual classes, and we were told by someone, oh, you can't charge money for those. And we were like, well, what are we supposed to do? Wait for it to fall out of the sky? I mean, it just was astonishing. And of course, we could actually charge money. We just couldn't charge huge amounts anyway, like we needed. So we charged minimal amounts, and we did finally make it work. But I remember thinking, we are 20 penniless devotees in Gurgaon, is what it felt like. I mean, we were not literally penniless, but there were times when paying the rent and paying the bill for the diesel to keep the generators running when the power went off, which the power was off all the time. Anyway, there were adventures. But I was grateful for that story, Two Penniless Boys in Vrindavan, because it gave me, and it gave all of us really, in a real sense, the confidence to go forth and exercise our faith, as Yogananda did, as Swami Kriyananda did, time and time again through his long life. And that exercise of faith continues to this day. Some of us don't have work. Some of us, the financial future is uncertain. So what do? Do we go, oh, no, we don't. We put out energy. We serve people. We help. We try to reach into arenas that we've never gone before. And that's exactly what Swamiji demonstrated. He was exactly the opposite of the classically ridiculous saying, when in danger, when in doubt, run in circles, scream and shout. He was confident, calm, definitive action to serve and help and uplift. And it always touched me, and I hope that story is of touching to you too, because it's just been deeply meaningful to me. And again, I say from my heart, if you have never read this book, please do read it. It's just unbelievable. And this blue version that I'm holding is the original edition, a reprint of the original edition from 1946, which has a beautiful vibration. So we'll chant again now, and I'm going to go slightly off script because someone requested the chant, "What is this life?" And what is this life flowing through my veins? Can it be other than divine? In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one. I am one with the infinite Om. Can you turn that thing around, that viewfinder thing?
What is this life flowing through my veins? Can it be other than divine? What is this life flowing through my veins? Can it be other than divine? In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one with the infinite Om. In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one with the infinite Om. What is this energy flowing through my form? Can it be other than divine? What is this energy flowing through my form? Can it be other than divine? In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one with the infinite Om. In thy light, in thy love, thy joy, I am one with the infinite Om. What is this consciousness flowing through my brain? Can it be other than divine? What is this consciousness flowing through my brain? Can it be other than divine? In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one with the infinite Om. In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one with the infinite Om. What is this power flowing through my will? Can it be other than divine? What is this power flowing through my will? Can it be other than divine? In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one with the infinite Om. In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one with the infinite Om. What is this life flowing through my veins? Can it be other than divine? What is this life flowing through my veins? Can it be other than divine? In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one with the infinite Om. In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one with the infinite Om. What is this energy flowing through my form? Can it be other than divine? What is this energy flowing through my form? Can it be other than divine? In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one with the infinite Om. In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one with the infinite Om. What is this consciousness flowing through my brain? Can it be other than divine? What is this consciousness flowing through my brain? Can it be other than divine? In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one with the infinite Om. In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one with the infinite Om. What is this power flowing through my will? Can it be other than divine? What is this power flowing through my will? Can it be other than divine? In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one with the infinite. In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one with the infinite. In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one with the infinite. In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one with the infinite. What is this life flowing through my veins? Can it be other than divine? What is this life flowing through my veins? Can it be other than divine? In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one with the infinite. In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one with the infinite. In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one with the infinite. In thy light, in thy love, in thy joy, I am one with the infinite.
I'm going to read a passage to you from, I read part of this morning in the morning sadhana, at the end of the morning sadhana. This is a passage from a talk that Master gave called Increasing the Power of Initiative. And this is one of my absolute favorite chapters and talks that Master ever gave. But it's also one of my favorite readings in the whole wide world, and I'll read a little more of it this time. This will be about 5 minutes long, give or take. Whenever you want to create something wonderful, sit quietly and go deep in meditation until you have contacted that infinite, inventive, creative power that is within you. Try something new, but always be sure that that great creative principle is behind anything you do, and that creative principle will see you through. Every human being is meant to be guided by the boundless creative power of spirit. You have choked with doubt and laziness the fountain of creative power within you. Clear it out. Show dauntless determination in everything you do. Most people are content to feed themselves on dead quotations, to go on collecting the ideas of others without ever showing the individuality that is within themselves. What is distinctive about you? Where is the great uniqueness of God's power in you? You have not been using it. I was reluctant at first to become a teacher. The implications frightened me. A teacher has to be a shock absorber. The minute he becomes disturbed, he cannot help those who seek his aid. A true teacher has to love everybody. He has to understand humanity and to know God. But when Sri Yukteswar told me that my role in this life was to be that of a teacher, I called on the Lord's infinite power to sustain me. When I started to give lectures, I made up my mind that I would speak not by book learning, but by inner inspiration, holding the thought that behind my speech was the inexhaustible creative power. I have also utilized that power in other directions to help people in business and in many different ways. I have used mortal mind to reflect immortality. I did not say, Father, do it, but I want to do it, Father. You must guide me. You must inspire me. You must lead me. This is the part that it just thrills me. Do little things in an extraordinary way. Be the best one in your line. You must not let your life run in the ordinary way. Do something that nobody else has done. Something that will dazzle the world. Show that God's creative principle works in you. Never mind the past. Though your errors be as deep as the ocean, the soul itself cannot be swallowed up by them. Have unflinching determination to move on your path unhampered by limiting thoughts of past errors. Life may be dark. Difficulties may come. Opportunities may slip by unutilized. But never within yourself say, I am done for. God has forsaken me. Who could do anything for that kind of person? Your family may forsake you. Good fortune may seemingly desert you. All the forces of man and nature may be arrayed against you. But by the quality of divine initiative within you, you can defeat every invasion of fate created by your own past wrong actions and march victorious into paradise. Though you be defeated 100 times, be determined that you are nonetheless going to conquer. Defeat is not meant to last for an eternity. Defeat is a temporary test for you. Naturally, God wants to make you invincible, to have you bring into play the almighty power that is within you, so that on the stage of life you can fulfill your high destined role. How are you going to find out what role suits you? If we all want to be kings, who will be the servants? On the stage, the part of a king and of a servant are equally important if the roles are played well. You must remember that this is why we are sent into this world with differences, with desires for various vocations. God meant the world to be a play, a huge spectacle for our entertainment. But we forget the stage manager's plan and want to play our part as we see fit and not as he desires. You fail on the stage of life because you are trying to act a part different from the one divinely designed for you. Sometimes the buffoon attracts more attention than the king. So no matter how obscure your role, play it conscientiously. Tune yourself with spirit, and in this earth drama you will play your part well. You are not meant to suffer. Those who play tragic parts must realize that they are but enacting a role. Never mind which part you have to play. Always strive to act it well, in harmony with the direction of the stage manager. He puts those words in with capital letters, stage manager, so that your little role will enlighten others. Realize that an aspect of the infinite power of spirit is performing through you on the stage of the world. Infinite spirit creates new success. Infinite spirit does not want you to be an automaton. Attune yourself to cosmic power, and whether you are working in a factory or mixing with people in the business world, always affirm, within me is the infinite creative power. I shall not go to the grave without some accomplishments. I am a God-man, a rational creature. I am the power of spirit, the dynamic source of my soul. I shall create revelations in the world of business, in the world of thought, in the world of wisdom. I and my Father are one. I can create anything I desire, even as my creative Father. So we'll have another chant. says, who is in my temple? All the doors do open themselves, all the lights do light themselves. Darkness like a dark bird flies away, oh flies away.
Who is in my temple? Who is in my temple? All the doors do open themselves, all the lights do light themselves. All the doors do open themselves, all the lights do light themselves. Darkness like a dark bird flies away, oh flies away. Darkness like a dark bird flies away, oh flies away. Who is in my temple? Who is in my temple? All the doors do open themselves, all the lights do light themselves. All the doors do open themselves, all the lights do light themselves. Darkness like a dark bird flies away, oh flies away. Darkness like a dark bird flies away, oh flies away. Who is in my temple? Who is in my temple? All the doors do open themselves, all the lights do light themselves. All the doors do open themselves, all the lights do light themselves. Darkness like a dark bird flies away, oh flies away. Darkness like a dark bird flies away, oh flies away. Who is in my temple? Who is in my temple? All the doors do open themselves, all the lights do light themselves. All the doors do open themselves, all the lights do light themselves. Darkness like a dark bird flies away, oh flies away. Darkness like a dark bird flies away, oh flies away. Who is in my temple? Who is in my temple? All the doors do open themselves, all the lights do light themselves. All the doors do open themselves, all the lights do light themselves. Darkness like a dark bird flies away, oh flies away. Darkness like a dark bird flies away, oh flies away. Who is in my temple? Who is in my temple? All the doors do open themselves, all the lights do light themselves. All the doors do open themselves, all the lights do light themselves. Darkness like a dark bird flies away, oh flies away. Darkness like a dark bird flies away, oh flies away. Who is in my temple? Who is in my temple? All the doors do open themselves, all the lights do light themselves. All the doors do open themselves, all the lights do light themselves. Darkness like a dark bird flies away, oh flies away. Darkness like a dark bird flies away, oh flies away. Who is in my temple? 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 All the doors do open themselves, all the lights do light themselves. All the doors do open themselves, all the lights do light themselves. Darkness like a dark bird flies away, oh flies away. Darkness like a dark bird flies away, oh flies away. Who is in who is in my temple. Thou art my love, thou art the sweetness which I receive. Thou art my life, thou art my love, thou art the sweetness which I receive. In the thought by my love brought, in the thought by my love brought, I taste thy name, so sweet, so sweet. Devotee knows how sweet you are. Devotee knows how sweet you are. He knows me like me. He knows me like me. Thou art my life, thou art my love. Thou art the sweetness which I receive. Thou art my life, thou art my love. Thou art the sweetness which I receive. In the thought by my love brought, in the thought by my love brought, I taste thy name, so sweet, so sweet. Devotee knows how sweet you are. 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 He knows me right now. He knows me right now. Thou art my life, thou art my love. Thou art the sweetness which I receive. Thou art my life, thou art my love. Thou art the sweetness which I receive. In the thought by my love brought, in the thought by my love brought, I taste thy name, so sweet, so sweet. Devotee knows how sweet you are. 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 He knows me like me. He knows me like me. Thou art my life, thou art my love. Thou art the sweetness which I receive. Thou art my life, thou art my love. Thou art the sweetness which I receive. In the thought by my love brought, in the thought by my love brought, I taste thy name, so sweet, so sweet. Devotee knows how sweet you are. 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 He knows me like me. He knows me like me. Thou art my life, thou art my love. Thou art the sweetness which I receive. Thou art my love, thou art my love. Thou art the sweetness which I receive. Thou art my life, thou art my love. Thou art the sweetness which I receive. Thou art my life, thou art my love. Thou art the sweetness which I receive.
close now. We'll chant Om together. Send this vibration out through the world, blessing and permeating souls everywhere who are in need. Feel this grace flowing through your voice. Peace. Amen. God bless you all.